I got sick. So the true story, what happened is Tehran took me out partying.
Nah, don't blame me.
I'm blaming you.
Don't blame me. Don't blame me. Bro, how come my immune system is fine?
George, you're in LA? Yo, this dude is so crazy. He made up a lie that he went out and everyone he saw said, oh, where's George? He never comes out.
Yo, people ask about you when you're not out.
He gave me this pressure to go out this one night. I went out, I was like, yo, dude, I got to be up by 8 a.m. I have a meeting in Beverly Hills. So he's like, cool, it'll only be an hour. This is at 10. 11 comes.
No,
12 comes.
It was at like 8:30. It was at 8:30.
2 comes.
You're a grown man.
8:30, so you're giving me an extra 30 minutes. Wow, thank you.
You're a grown man.
I end up getting home at 8 a.m. and my meeting's at 8:30. And I didn't sleep the rest of the day. And then I woke up the next following day and I was sick. I got up. I was fine. I don't understand why. Okay. I think it's a conspiracy because you always say you don't sleep, but I bet you sneak in naps. You're a napper. You look like a napper in that bathrobe.
I really just don't have the need to sleep as much as most people do. Now, I would like to sleep. I just don't get normal sleep. I just don't.
Scientifically, isn't sleep a very important thing?
Here's 2 schools of thoughts. Of course, sleep is pertinent to the human body. However, they don't actually know why we need to sleep. The same way they don't understand why we age or why our immune systems are the way they are. Because technically speaking, we are created as an organism to live forever. It's just our body, a genetic code switches on that tells us to deteriorate.
Oh.
Which is very interesting. It tells us to deteriorate.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So what I have observed, though, is a lot of successful people don't get a lot of sleep. Are they maximizing their time on planet Earth?
Maybe or maybe not. I really think I've realized it's symptoms. When I look at things as in the concept of success, I look at things like symptoms of what I call success, right? So when you start comparing yourself to people you think are successful, you'll realize you actually either have a lot of things in common or a lot of things that are different.
What do you have in common with P. Diddy, bro?
The fact that we don't sleep, the way we look at certain things, our attitudes about things, our reasoning to not beat around the bush and get straight to the point of things.
Ellen and I have a lot in common too.
You and Ellen DeGeneres, actually, when we were looking that up, yes. We did realize you had a lot. You're both lesbians.
And it's very interesting. Life as Ellen. Technically, I guess I am a lesbian, right? If I'm into women.
No, I don't think that's the way to say that. I don't think that's how that sexual.
So you were calling me a woman.
I was calling you a effeminate woman who happens to also like women. So you're a lipstick lesbian of all things.
Wow.
You're a lipstick lesbian, if anything.
I have been told I'm effeminate.
I do. I will say this. I do like when girls have the haircut you have. I really like when girls have the shaved head.
Are you hitting on me right now?
I'm definitely not hitting on you.
You're into raspy voices too.
You know who we're not hitting on right now? We're not hitting on our guests who are supposed to be here.
And our non-imperfect gentleman of the week award goes to Womp Womp.
Our guests. It's interesting because our guests are, we're on the way. People don't always realize how radio shows work. Radio shows aren't things that we can pause or take time for. And we need our female perspective.
It's live.
It is live.
If it's live, you got to be there 15 minutes early, like Dave. See, I was late today, but I still, I'm still here. The guests aren't. Punctuality, and it has to do with the sense of urgency.
I can't preach anyone on punctuality. I can't.
You've gotten better, my friend.
I'm always late.
I used to be always on time. Tehran was always late to the point where I was like, all right, I'm going to just be late then. And then he starts showing up earlier than me. And I think it's really competitive.
That was a trick. That was my trick to get you to be blamed.
It reminds me, one time I was dating, there's a true story, dating a lady. And I have this bad habit of being late to everything. And I don't mean it personally.
Oh, you do?
Yeah. And I don't mean it personally against people. It's just something that happens. And she had a whole lecture with me about how time is the most important, valued thing in her family.
Sure.
And how I violated her family
by
picking her up late to the point where I went inside. She was upset with me. She was upstairs in a room. Mind you, this is our first date.
Sure.
Father sits me down in the living room, looks at me and goes, nice watch. I go, thank you. It's learn how to use it. I said, excuse me? Like, learn how to use your watch. You were late for my daughter. She came downstairs, and then he caressed her hair and said, "You take care of my little kitty cat." I said, "Okay." I got lectured in the car on time. I thought it was all silly. I thought it was all like dismal at the time. As I grow older, people, as I get older, I start to see, I don't want to say older, as I become more experienced in living, I am starting to see the value of time more. Time is all we have.
That's because you have less of it, bro. We're old, bro.
Okay, let me preach, bro. Time is all we have. It's literally all we have. What we do with our time, and these, forget my words of the week. This is like my rant of the week, okay? It is literally all we have. We might have something else called an interest. Well, your interest is solely dependent on time. How you use your time is how you could feed or not feed your interest. So everyone who's listening out there, if you're considering moving to LA and you have a passion, right? Today's the time. Now's the time. If there's something you're burning with passion about, don't let life pass you by. Don't build regrets with time. Build a future with time. Use time for the now. This is GK. These are my words of the week.
Yeah.
You seem moved, Teron.
Yeah. So look,
you'd rather be talking to the lady guest, right?
No, not at all. Actually, what you said is actually extremely important, right? I don't give a fuck, but it was an important thing to be said. Like I personally don't care what you just said. Yeah. However, I think that everyone should care.
Right?
What you just said.
So
and
why?
I probably just didn't care what you said because it was you. Now, if it was P. Diddy saying this,
was there validity behind what I'm saying?
100%.
Do you know what P. Diddy said?
What?
I was on set with P. Diddy. We're filming a commercial for Revolt TV, the launch of Revolt.
I remember that commercial.
And I was the wild guy running behind Diddy. Diddy said on set, "Hurry up, everybody. I can make money, but I can't make time."
Yeah, that's what Diddy said. Puff,
Diddy
take
said
that.
Diddyism. Yeah. And I was
then
like,
he went,
wow.
And then he was, can't stop, won't stop. Listen, here's the thing about it. I'm a late person. However, I trust the universe. I don't even set alarms. I don't set alarms. So.
And this is a true story, by the way. When we were out partying, he's like, "Yo, I'm going to the car. I'm gonna sit down for like 30 minutes and I'm gonna wake up." I was like, "Dude, you want me to set an alarm?" He's like, No need." This dude looked like this crazy girl, which is wet in the car like this. And I'm standing outside like, what's going on? I swear to God. And I'm watching it and I'm watching the clock. The second 8 a.m. hit, this dude just like rose. He ascended and he didn't have an alarm. I'm like, how do you do that? How do you do that?
I don't use alarms.
What is it? Wait, what is the explanation?
I'm gonna tell you why. I have a circadian rhythm. We all do. We all have a unique ability to sense time. The same way we have perception, depth perception, things that we take for granted every day. We just don't realize how amazing they are. We all have like so many superpowers we don't use. Have you ever seen someone do parkour? Those niggas are superheroes. So the concept is I just trust the universe. If I'm meant to get up, I'll just wake up. So I don't wake up. I don't wake up with the ability or aid of electronic devices. I just wake up.
Well,
and I'm just there.
So you're greater than technology?
No, I'm saying I'm on par. I'm on par with technology. We all are.
So
we are the best technology on the planet.
So when you call someone, do you turn off your phone and telepathically speak to them?
No, it's not that I don't need the.
You're a human droid.
I let life dictate if I'm going to be on time for something or not. If I wake up, and honestly, I must enjoy being late because there are times where I'm like not doing anything, and I could be getting ready, and then I like that hustle and bustle of the procrastination. It gives me energy. It gives me life.
I'm glad you like that because in 2010, I had a club full of people waiting for me to perform at my album release party. You were the MC of the night, okay? And I'm standing there. People, when are you going to start, George? Why not now? Why not now? So you were enjoying your little hustle while you're ruining my like shining moment of life?
Can I just say something real quick though?
Say something.
I showed up at the right exact perfect time. How we started earlier, it would have been How we started later, it would have been it came and it was like a movie. It was like a movie. The way you walked in, and I'll tell you why. Because there was a group of girls that were your good friends who were also amazingly good looking girls who walked in at the exact same time that I walked in with you, and it wasn't even planned, and so it just looked like the best entrance of all time.
I ain't gonna take that away from that. Is on video. You can find it on YouTube.
Yeah, that was one of the best entrances of people. I didn't even need to clear my throat. People just stopped to see what is going on with George and I as we walked in, because I came out and George was about to get upset, and I really just raised my finger. I was like,
that's a little condescending. The way you do that. Why do you speak to me like I'm a commoner and you're a god?
No. I speak to you on par. You're my brother, bro. I raised my hand.
Can you tilt the hand down a little bit? Just down, bro. Have some respect, bro.
You know, we have this poem in Farsi, and I'll say it in Farsi and then I'll explain in English. It says, Parvaz ra be khater besapor, parande mordanis. What it means is, remember the flight, the bird is mortal. Enjoy the experience. Be in the moment, bro. Be in the moment. We're here now. Whatever happened before, whatever happened,
so
you're all determined on now.
You took my words of the week, put it into a Persian poem about being in the moment
and it was bars,
and telling me it's better than what I said.
It was
and
bars.
You don't agree with what I said.
I don't disagree with what you said. Actually, it's one of the things where I definitely need to work on being on time more. However, I'll give you examples where it's like, there are times where I get to the airport. I'm notorious for getting to the airport super late. You have experienced this yourself,
of course,
as you rushed to the airport, and then I just glided in and got the same seat right next to you in first class.
As he glided in, homie brought a trash bag, like not even a suitcase, not a bag, like not a carry-on. Stops as he's walking on the plane, gets into a psychiatric rant with the attendant saying, why didn't you search me? I'm black and I'm Persian. Why didn't you search me for bomb? I'm like, bro, I'm Middle Eastern, bro. Like, don't include me in this, bro.
And they all laughed and gave us extra things.
And then I tried to do the joke and I got thrown into a room with dogs, bro.
Yo, look, I just do things based on the time. All of us have time, perspective. And I'm saying you should be on time. Listen, honestly, being on time is a very important thing, and it's an important component of success.
What about relationships? We know it's important for success. Utilizing time in relationships. So when we're dating someone, and not just punctuality, but allocating a certain amount of time, or maybe not a certain amount of time, but a certain time of day that you give to your partner and share it. How important is this in the success of a relationship, and not just success itself? Some people are very sensitive to that. You know, I've been in relationships where they say, you never make time for me. I've also been in relationships where maybe I was given too much time and that inadvertently turned the person off. How do we find this balance? You know, it's just a question I've always had in my mind. How do we know when it's a not? How do we know when we're not being selfish and we are being selfless?
Well, here's the thing about time. Yes, in a perfect world, we would all dedicate time to the people we want to spend time with. However, it's interesting, the dichotomy of what do you do when you're searching for success, which is time consuming, and you want to hit, which is also time consuming, right? Like, you want to be with this person and you want to spend time with them and you want to hit, like you want to hit.
What does hit?
Hit means smash, fuck. Get in.
Did you have to? Okay, you don't have to take it that far. Okay?
I'm just saying. Like, here's the thing. I sometimes just find I have enough time to hit. Like, I just really, which is why I try to stay away from relationships. Like, I don't have time. I did not come to LA for you. That is not my priority. This is my priority. And girls would be like, why don't you make time for me? And it's like, I understand and I respect why you would say that. And I understand. I'm not mad at you for it. I understand, but you need to understand that I came to LA and that this is my priority. I've been doing this or thinking about this or thinking about being successful way longer than I met you.
Is that unfair? Let's use unfair.
Yes, it is unfair to the girl.
Unfair to your partner?
Yes, it is.
When you're prioritizing your passion.
100%, it's unfair.
So how do you justify that?
I mean, you know, people starving is also unfair. The world, no one comes into the world. The first rule we learn is that life is unfair. I understand it's unfair. See, girls often get upset and say things to me like, you don't understand. That's what they say. They say, Tehran, you just don't understand. And I graduated, I was valedictorian.
And then I graduated throwing that in there.
Magna cum
sorry,
laude,
I wasn't. Yeah, sorry, I wasn't.
Double undergrad degrees, and then decide, hey, I'm just going to get a master's, and then go to law school, graduate top of my class. I'm in Mensa. I have an IQ that exceeds 155.
Okay, well, I have a big heart. Okay.
What I'm saying is, what I mean is, I understand. If there's one thing I do, it's understand. I understand. I don't care. There's a difference. Now, I don't mean to be so blunt when I say it, but I understand what you were saying. I just don't care. And what I mean by I don't care is while my empathy may go a long way towards your sympathy, I can be empathetic or I can be realistic. And realistically speaking, regardless if I cry tears for you, Argentina, it won't change what is the actuality of the thing, which is I need to dictate my time to what I do. Because in my field of work, I do not get to clock in. I don't have the luxury of clocking in and clocking out. I'm working 24/7, 365 because this is not a career. This is not just even a goal. This is my life's passion. And that's what people need to understand. Martin Luther King didn't clock out of being a civil rights leader. That's not how that worked. And yes, our personal relationships often suffer. So it's up to you to determine, is it worth it to you? Is the minimal time that you spend with that person worth it to you? In hopes that later they will get to a point where now they can incorporate you in their time. It's hopes. Now, the thing about love is love, while it's a two-way street, isn't a two-way path, meaning I love you independently of if you love me. That is what true love is. That is how we consider unconditional love. I love you because it just is the way. I love you because this is how I feel. Regardless if you love me back, hopefully you love me back. And I'm not talking about like stalkers and shit. I'm talking about just real.
You're onto something, poet.
Honestly,
poet Tehran, you're onto something, and I like
hashtag Genius Christ.
A Genius Christ. I'll second that one on that speech. But you said something very key that stood out. You said loving someone and not loving their situation. A lot of times, people in relationships want to fall in love with the situation rather than the person themselves. How, you may ask? People go into a relationship with a preconceived notion of what and how a relationship is and how it should function. And that's not always the case. At the end of the day, we are all individuals within relationships. So you people who have the joint Instagram accounts, I don't believe y'all. Okay, I don't know if I'm talking to John or Susan, okay? I want to know if this is Susan's account, and I also want to know if this is John's account. Because at the end of the day, I respect your union, but you're still individuals. And when you are dating someone, you must make something what is called a compromise. So when you're dealing with an individual, automatically you have to know to start to expect compromises because you're not dating a situation. Okay, not everyone is Tehran the Don and they wake up a robot and they don't have alarm clocks and they function on electricity. Not everyone's like that. Okay, we're individuals. And we all have our own needs. We all have to make our own compromises. We have our own schedules. We have our own groups of friends. And we need to be sensitive to that. If you truly do love someone, you need to be willing to compromise for what they also love the most. If that's their passion, if that's their family, but you love them, and you're probably also, let's be real, y'all. When you love someone, you're expecting them to compromise for you too. So let's start being a little more open-minded about this word compromise in order to make things work instead of clash all the time. Because I guarantee y'all one thing, you go into a relationship or what I want to call a situational ship, and you're saying, hey, this is a situation, I'm dating, not you. You're going to be let down. There's going to be friction. There's going to be fighting.
Yeah, bitch.
Thanks to the ad-lib, Tehran. But you didn't need to use a word like that.
I just felt like, You know
what
I just
saying?
felt like it gave it a little more validity. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, everything.
Yeah, the situational ship, bitch. Okay. I love the word bitch is just such a good.
Do you want to like bring
world.
Quavo in here, and do you want to bring
Mama?
like that reminded me of like This Is America song with all the ad libs. You were just doing that. Which, by the way, I was reading today that song had existed before, and that Gambino of all people. Now, if you're calling Gambino a biter,
Gambino.
If you're calling Gambino a biter, that hurts.
Why? What do you mean it exists?
So apparently there's another artist who put out a very similar record, 2016.
I mean, everybody says things like this. Look, Childish Gambino, first of all, what you should be more mad about is that the writer and director were both white. Like, those are things that we should be a little more. Yeah, we should be a little more aware of things like that. But honestly, people really need to stop being on the, how can I destroy something that's good? How can I figure out what makes this bad? Let's do that. Let's focus on whatever's negative about whatever this is, because that's going to make me smart. That is something that I've seen very intent in the modern day, is how do I make the most negative comment because that makes me witty? How about we just like Drake because it's good? How about we just enjoy Taylor Swift? Like, it's fine. You're not less of a person because you like pop music. Pop means popular for a reason.
Yeah,
it's good. Just enjoy it.
In the comment sections, it's almost like a competition of who could say the
most
meaner
negative thing.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting to me. You know what else is interesting to me, Teron? The fact that we haven't started on our topic. What's our topic today?
These are our topics. Honestly, today, without guests, we don't have a female perspective. So at this point, yeah, bitch is the right answer.
Come on, man.
That's just where, because the whole show's premise is we have guests that are females who give us the female perspective. They're strong females who lead in there, and there are significant communities in whatever way.
So are you indicating that I'm serving as a female perspective today?
Actually, no. You are the opposite of male perspective, but you're not female. And it's interesting because a lot of people always assume that male and female are opposites, and I don't think that's necessarily the truth. You can be counterparts and not opposite.
Does it turn you off when a lady says to you, like, I'm a man? In terms of like, I'm physically a man, but like, I'm a man, I'm a guy.
Like, I'm a man, meaning I do man things.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't affect me one way or the other. What does affect me is the fact that we've assigned gender specific characteristics to roles. What bothers me the most is when a girl says something like "suck my dick." When a girl says that, it's just so low class to me. I dislike when anyone says that, really, but definitely when girls will be like, "He can suck my dick," and I'm like, well, Carrie, I live in West Hollywood, and that happens every day.
I mean, isn't that in some way like idolizing the penis? You know, isn't that? It could be an appropriate thing too. It's not a literal penis, Teron. You know, maybe they're crossing the line, and that's what we need to do. We need to start complimenting each other a little more. And I take that as a compliment, Teron. You know, I don't get turned off by that. I don't know why you do. But what does turn me off is when, like, I'm talking and I'm on a date and they're texting and they're not giving me attention. And that, can you just point the camera right there? Right there. So that's what turns me off when I'm on a date and I'm not getting attention. It has to do with time and compromise. At the end of the day, for me, really, I don't think that it's such a big problem. As it is with people's personalities. And there's a lot of tuning, you know, with singers, they got something called auto-tune, where you could like sing something off key and then this tool will automatically put you back on. And I feel like we need an auto-tune sometimes for the way we act and the things we say. A lot of people talk about political correctness and that we should be more politically correct. We should be more careful with the things we say. I don't know about political correctness. You know, I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, political correctness is something that it's a fine line. Like, sure, we should be appropriate, but at the same time, we should speak our truths. So the problem is who sets these boundaries. If everything I say has to be polite, then am I being sincere? We're often compromising sincerity for the comfort of others. How about everyone just be themselves?
When are we too sincere? So I was watching the news. Did you watch this news clip with one of the anchors saying to the other anchor, a white anchor says to a black news anchor, "You are out of your cotton picking mind."
I saw this clip. But see, that's not sincerity. That's not political correctness. That's being rude, correct? So at that point, you're no longer here. This is what political correctness. Slippery? Yeah, so let me explain the concept of political correctness. And I believe D.L. Hughley, a friend of mine, who's a comedian, very, very intelligent, doesn't even have a high school education, one of the most intelligent people I've ever met, expresses it and says, you can't tell me, I'm supposed to accept that Caitlyn Jenner, for example, exists in my world, but I don't have to be attracted to her. You can't force onto me that she is she's good looking. I have a personal preference. And even regardless of gender, that's not the person I would have chosen. Now, I'm probably paraphrasing it or adding, but that's the truth. Like, I've seen some good looking trans people. Caitlyn Jenner is not one of them. You can't make me have to enjoy and like her. And that's something.
Where do you feel the pressure coming? Like,
I mean, where's the pressure from people? From? People are like, no, she's beautiful. What do you mean? Even if you make a joke, it's like, she's beautiful. No, that ugly bitch is not. Like, yo, she's not beautiful for a white man, a white woman, a white person. If she was black, like, it's just not a bit. That's not who I would find attractive. And so when you are forced to like things or act a certain way, and now we see the backlash from people who felt that for the past 10 years, 8 years, whatever. And now because now they feel empowered with everything going on in the world.
So is it amplified now because they've been holding it back and they haven't been expressing themselves? Are you maybe implying, and I'm not saying you are, but I'm asking, if we hold back on the political correctness, if we hold back on our opinions, do we become more bitter and then take these opinions to a greater extreme if we don't have a healthy outlet to let them out? Because right now there's something called safe places, believe it or not, developing where people are allowed to meet and share their true beliefs with one another offline, no phones, no Twitter, make you get fired from your jobs. And they're able to share how they feel. And I'm very curious about this because how does it help if everyone's in a room and it's all hate speech towards a certain group and it's all negative things being said? Is that constructive in any way?
But that's, once again, that's now we're being rude. So people don't understand there's a difference between being rude, being mean, and being politically correct. You don't have to be rude and mean to be not politically correct. And I'm not saying you even have to not be politically correct. I'm just saying be real, be honest, be sincere.
So there's a common thing we see. I went to this casting when I first came to Hollywood as a dating show. So the lady goes, okay, so do you have any preferences on ethnicity? I said, no. She said, okay, so you're willing to date any ethnicity? I said, of course. She said, what about black women? And I looked at her and I said, I just told you any ethnicity. You know, and it's a common thing that's said that I hear a lot that, I F anyone except for a black guy, for example. Is that a preference or is that racism? That's what I sometimes question. So if we are, is someone just born maybe not to be attracted to a certain race, whether it be black or Asian, and they say that's not my dating preference? Is that taboo to like say or not say that? Or is it okay? You know, we don't really know what that line is between racism and preference or political correctness and reality. And sometimes the reality is, hey, like, I don't know, let's think about food, for example. I don't like chicken. So you go to somebody's house and they cook chicken. Is it then rude to be real and say, I don't like chicken? The same way when you're talking to someone, I don't like this, I don't like that. Where do we know when to draw the line? If our president is saying certain things and he's leading the free world, how do we know now what is too far and not far? Because he's successful, he's a president. So if he could do it, why can't I do it?
Sure, but do you want things on a level of success? And I don't really talk politics, but I do often talk principles. And the principle of the fact is, and the facts of the matter are, do you want someone who leads by uniting or leads by dividing? And that's where it comes down to. What kind of person do you ultimately want to be? Now, we have many types of success. We have people who steal and become extremely successful. But do you want to be successful by doing that? Do you want to be successful by lying? Because that is another way we see a lot of people becoming successful. Or do you want to be successful based on your own merits and achievements? And that's the one where we pride the most in that person who becomes successful. The story of the Warren Buffetts or even the LeBron Jameses, right? That's why we always love the underdog. That's why we all love Steph Curry. This is a little guy
that's cool,
who just works really hard.
But as the person who didn't do that, are they necessarily wrong or bad?
That's all stuff that is up for judgment. And as a society, we've decided many, many things. But ultimately, judging whether you're religious is up to God or is up to the rest of us, who knows? Those are questions that are just so expansive. You can't
The great scholar Kanye West speaks on something called free thought. And basically not monitoring, not filtering, just saying what comes in mind at the moment because that's how he's feeling. And that is his truth. Would we be wrong then to step into someone and say, no, don't say what you're actually feeling? Then they're no longer being true to themselves. And that's why I have this struggle with being politically correct or being right. And I'm not saying that I don't monitor myself. In fact, I do a lot. And I'm sometimes maybe too overly sensitive to other people's needs and other people's feelings that I sometimes don't even express myself out of the fear that I'm going to upset somebody else. And the outcome is that I don't get to express how I'm feeling in that moment or give an opinion.
That's interesting.
And it's inhibiting in a way.
I understand that. I don't do that. I don't give a fuck. And so I've never felt that, but I understand. See in this moment how I understand something, I just don't care. Do you see how that dynamic plays out? Like, I understand.
We get it. We know you don't care about me.
I understand.
Does someone want to run over me with a truck, right? Would that make you happier?
No, it would
you
not.
Care then?
No, it would not make me happy, George. However, if someone offered me $5 million to do so, then yes, I would. And it would be beneficial to both of us. And that's what I'm saying. I understand these things. Maybe I'm too logical for my own good. Maybe I'm just too sane in a world of insanity. That's how I feel about so many things. I am the one dancing because I hear the music and everyone else is just standing still because they don't. And they're looking at me like I'm crazy. And I'm like, no, you people just can't hear.
Okay, so another example. Let's apply this now to this situation. We know a lot's been going on at the border, a lot of controversy. Families have been split. There was a young child with Down syndrome separated from her mother. This was brought to the attention of someone in Trump's cabinet. And when they asked about this situation, he said, whoop-de-doo, or something like that. Why are you laughing?
I mean, that just sounds like such a response. Like, yo, on the low. Okay, listen. I don't agree with a lot of things that are going on, but I mean, like I said, I understand.
So you're okay with him saying, whoop-de-doo?
I'm not, because you're in the position of power. You're in the position of power. In a position of power, you shouldn't be whoop-de-dooing. You shouldn't be wearing coats that say, I don't care, do you? You should care. We look to you to lead. And so that's what the problem is. But I can understand the sentiment of whoop-de-doo. I can understand these things. I don't agree with them all the time.
It's funny to you.
I mean, a lot of things that happen are funny, but they're tragic. I find a lot of comedy and tragedy. That's probably why I do comedy.
You find comedy and tragedy.
Yeah.
When lives are at risk, you find a way to make it funny.
Always at risk. I mean, this is
when lives are lost.
These are the
world.
You
find the comedy.
Sometimes it depends on how the life was lost. If you slip on a banana and die, everyone kind of chuckles, right? That's kind of how it works.
I would hate to go out that way.
If you don't believe me, why don't we ask the Wile E. Coyote that no one gave a fuck about every time he ran into a wall or exploded on a Acme rocket? We all just you stupid coyote, you're so stupid. Oh, tricks are for kids, you dumb stupid rabbit. You're a stupid freaking rabbit, you stupid rabbit. I mean, where was the empathy then?
All right, I'm going to bring up a situation where I don't find any humor in, and many people didn't. This was a tragic killing of a 15-year-old boy named Junior, who was just innocently out and about. He was misidentified by a gang who was looking to kill someone else who actually slept with one of their sisters and exposed the incident online. Thought it was Junior, dragged him out of a store. He's holding on to the door hinge for his dear life. There are 5 grown men out there waiting for him, actually more. Drag him outside, and they strike him several times with a machete and another knife and beat him. There are people upstairs recording this incident. There are people in the store just watching this poor boy get dragged outside. The kid suffers these injuries. The gang speeds off. He tries to run to the hospital, which was 2 blocks up, and dies right then and there on the street. I have had many thoughts on this incident and many things that I felt and didn't say because I feared that if I were to verbalize them, I would then be a part of the problem that caused this in the first place. What I can tell you is this. When I saw the surveillance, which I didn't see, of these men stabbing this boy fighting for his life, there was a side of me that wanted to attack them myself.
So let me understand. You are upset because someone got murdered?
I'm upset, of course, that someone got murdered. I'm more upset that there were people watching it and not stepping in.
Okay, so what were they supposed to do? Get murdered too?
At least call 911 right away.
Okay.
Right away, at the very least.
Okay, so 5 guys are stabbing a 17-year-old or however young this kid is, right?
15, yeah.
15, 12. Kid's 8. Fine. So you're saying, hey, innocent bystanders, why did you not involve yourself in doing something? I understand that. Because we watched it happen, because we were not there. Everyone who wasn't there was going to be Superman. Everyone who wasn't playing in the game would have kicked the goal. Everyone would have caught that touchdown and would have dunked. If I was LeBron, I would have just dunked the ball. Why does LeBron just dunk the ball? Well, you're not there. You're not there. You're not witnessing what's happening. It's easy to talk about something when you're not the one who's actually in that situation. It's easy. Now, should someone have called 911? Probably. But how about the campaigns of stop snitching, don't call 911, we're in the hood? Sometimes we feel like it's more dangerous to call the police. That says more about the socioeconomic and unfortunate happenstance of police brutality in the world right now than it does about those people.
That shouldn't be the case.
But we're all alerted because we watch something happen instead of when most things happen and they're way more tragic, but it's not on video or no one tweeted about it and no one posted on Instagram, so we just don't care about those things. Because, you know, that exact same scenario happened in Nigeria, Ethiopia, Eritrea. It happened in Senegal, Liberia, Egypt, Palestine, and 50 other countries last night, too. We just didn't hear about those, so we don't care about those.
I can only speak of what I see or what I'm even aware of. This was what I was made aware of because it's in my country. It showed up in my news feed from several friends who live in that same city.
Everyone lives in that city now.
I've been through that city.
What city is it?
It's in the Bronx.
Oh, okay. So a very highly populated area of America. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
I understand. And I'm not downplaying what happened. I am upgrading. What people don't realize is bandwagon empathy. Is when we're told to care about something, so all of a sudden everyone cares about something.
This is not bandwagon.
100%.
This is not bandwagon.
100% it's bandwagon
because
empathy.
I know if I were there and I've been in those situations and I see someone fighting for their life, I'm going to step in.
Sure.
I'm going to step in, and I've done it before. That's me. So I'm not going to say it's bandwagon.
It is bandwagon
because I know
empathy.
what I would have done.
Because you're not thinking. Are you planning on using your vast fortune and learning all jiu-jitsu, Muay Thai techniques and wearing a bat costume and fighting crime across the country? Because you do realize crime happens at an alarming rate throughout this country.
And I'm not saying that.
Do you fight every single battle?
Everybody there would have done what George would have done.
Sure, but do you want to do this for everyone?
Guard. I was hired to do that.
Do you want to do this for everyone?
I can't say yes or I can't say no. What I can say is this, that there could have been more done. And the overlying issue, Teron, in this incident is the lack of empathy in the moment.
It wasn't a lack of empathy.
I'm
sure
on the
all of those people cared.
I saw these dudes standing inside.
Yeah.
2 grown-ass men standing inside. They're watching this boy get dragged outside. Call 911. Call 911.
That's not the culture of those people. Those people have been taught if you call 911, you have worse consequences. So what do you do in that situation? You want to blame someone? Blame the people who told everyone stop snitching.
What about XXX Tenacion? Is that how you say the name? Tenacion.
Tentacion.
Tentacion. Triple X. What about Temptation?
Yeah.
I like Temptation more, by the way. Temptation. Unfortunately, we saw like 10 people, filming with their iPhones.
You're right.
Yo, like my friend's a paramedic, and he told me the first 5 minutes when someone goes unconscious determine if that person lives or not, what you do there. Ain't nobody resuscitating him. They're just filming him.
Yo, most people don't know how to resuscitate people. I don't want Ashy Larry's lips all over me when I'm dying. Let me die, nigga. I don't need, you know what? Getting herpes from your lips, I'd rather just die. Like, I don't need you to, look, everyone loves talking about things because they aren't the ones implementing these things. It is very easy to talk about things from your high pedestal when you're not there making things happen. No one cares about the 800 murders in Chicago, but this murder, this is crazy because we saw it on film. Like, yo, the real world isn't so cut and dry. It's not so black and white. Like the real world, there are constant things happen. Life happens. Crime happens, unfortunately. You want to fix crime? Don't fix this one circumstance. Fix the overall effect. Let's start fixing windows. The easiest way to fix crime in a neighborhood is the easiest way. Not a little. I'm talking about a 30 to 40% reduction in crime is simply by washing graffiti off of walls. If there are no, it's called the crack window. It's called the broken window symptom. If there's a broken window, people feel like people don't care about this, so they'll do more crime because it's like no one's paying attention. So if you fix all broken windows and clean off graffiti, crime reduces by 40%
so
automatically.
You're speaking on the concept of intervention. And you're saying that in the moment,
No. I'm talking about prevention. Intervention
Okay.
is the concept of, well, I care about this one particular instance and none of the other ones because this is the one that's the most important. Like, what?
At what point did you watch the video?
Yes.
Were you not upset in any way seeing this happen?
I was intrigued that it happened, but that's the reality of the world. We also have this thing where when everyone thinks someone else did something, we end up doing nothing. And that's how complacency works. And if you want to talk about your philosopher friend,
it's called
Kanye
social
West,
loafing.
If you want to talk about your
and I studied that in college. Yeah, I went to college too.
Your friend Kanye West.
Sociology course. I know you don't respect that study.
I do respect,
but it's called social loafing. I just put a term on your words, bro.
I appreciate your college education, man. You're a very intelligent person. You studied English literature. I mean, every day I read, I'm like, wow, George just reads a sentence a little better than me.
Oh, great. Thanks.
But here's the concept. Here's the concept of what and you went to a top tier college. You went to University of Maryland, which is an amazing school. It's not about, I just said D.L. Hughley has never been to college or high school, barely graduated high school if he did. And he's one of the most intelligent people I know. It's not about academic knowledge. That's not what I ascertain as intelligence, George.
What could this community have done besides a graffiti?
Cared. If this community had cared from the beginning. See, here's the concept of where we are socioeconomically speaking. I live in the hood. I don't own the hood, so I don't care about the hood. Everyone loves repping their block, but no one likes cleaning their block. Everyone hates potholes, but no one likes paying taxes. We have this basically a mental ability to want so much and not be willing to give anything. So many people want to change the world, and yet so few people just simply want to change themselves.
Does that in a way discredit the community organizers who are out on the streets?
No.
These youth programs.
Good for them.
There are people out there trying.
100%. There should be. There shouldn't be people. It should be all of us. Here, we all live in communities. It's community, right? It's the concept of communication plus unity equals community. The concept is we're all in these neighborhoods. We don't care. We care about what affects us. Even I'll give you a perfect example. Of what plays to this, right? There were a whole groups of Iranians, and actually our Imperfect Gentleman of the Week is the Iranian soccer team who played a valiant game against Portugal, tied, but did.
You gave the Imperfect Gentleman of the Week to like a losing team who didn't advance.
They didn't lose so much.
I think I'm gonna give it to Mexico. You know what I'm saying? Mexico beat Germany.
But Mexico is supposed to win. Here's the thing.
No, they were the champions.
Iran is clearly the underdog. Do you see what I'm saying? Iran's clearly the underdog in the world, in in the World Cup.
So I'm the concept is
they have the top defense and thing, but
I just want to say something. I'm going to let it be Iran. Let me tell you why. So Iran as a team, they weren't allowed to get sponsors from Nike and Adidas for their jerseys because of sanctions. So these guys went and they handmade their jerseys. And they like hand stitched the names.
Yeah, child labor.
That's hard, bro.
That's
so I'm gonna give it to them for that. So, I'm gonna give it to them for their heart.
That's what I'm saying. The underdog. But the reason I brought up the Iran team, not only are they Imperfect Gentlemen of the Week, but is the concept of Iran playing in the World Cup. All these Iranians were like, look at these refs. They're prejudiced against the Iranians. They don't want the Iranians to advance. It's a prejudice. It's bigoted. And those are the same people who try to convince me white privilege does not exist. It's the exact same group of people who try to explain to me that when other people of color are upset about this in the world, that's not real. But in the World Cup, it affects Iran and only Iran because people only care about their perspective.
Why is it a conspiracy every time Iran loses?
But that's the thing. It isn't. It's a conspiracy against everyone. Everyone has a form of privilege and everyone has a form of oppression. And the concept is where we find these things. And everyone thinks that their story their breakup is the saddest breakup of all time. Never mind everyone else who's ever broken up. But when I break up, when my heart's broken, my heart is broken, shattered more than your heart has ever been because I'm going through it. When you get hit by a truck and slip, fall, get hit by a truck, that sucks. When I get a paper cut, it is a tragedy. That's how people think of the world. We only see things from our own perspectives. And that's how we see things, unfortunately, from relationships. And when it comes to relationships, if we had females here to give us that perspective, they might give us insight, but they're not. So guess what? Sorry, bitches.
And that's the third failure on Tehran's end to bring guests. We're now tied on no shows. So I just want to make note of that to the Imperfect Nation.
We're not tied on no shows.
We absolutely are.
Hold on. This is how statistics work. I have brought in excess of 200 guests to the show, and of that time, three times people have known show. Mm-hmm. You've brought 4 guests to the show.
Oh, it's
and
not
3
4
times.
Oh, you're such a liar. We counted this.
There was a no show.
And another issue is whenever I book guests, it's already booked. We're booked 2 months out.
Because I book in advance. You want to book.
You're hogging the space.
Hey, I just met someone last night. Can they come in tomorrow? Hey, stop talking to these girls. I met this guy. He can hook us up with Rihanna tickets. He knows Rihanna's cousin's sister's cousin's best friend.
And low key, if the guests are like super bad, what I do is I wait till there's a day Tehran's not here.
And that's where we're at with it. Make sure to find us on social media. Where can they find us on Twitter?
Our handle is Imperfect G Show on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Email us your topics at imperfectshow@gmail.com.
And of course, we'd all love to hear from you. Find me on social media at I am Tehran all across the board. That's IAMTEHRAN. It will always be on a single article of clothing, at least, that I'm wearing. And across from me is the empathetic bandwagon rider.
Oh my gosh, what a terrible introduction to me. Sorry that I care. My name is GC. The C is for care, George Care. Find me at Mr. George Corey across social media. Tehran, spell the last name for him.
That's CH. C for caring. KHOURI. And remember, we are Imperfect Gentlemen. Nobody's perfect but us. We'll see you guys next week. Martin on the board.
And hopefully we'll have guests.